Hello, Shari Arison. How are you?
Hi, Kaynan Rabino.
So we're here today to open your series of talks about enlightenment and inner peace.
Right.
And what I understand from the concept of your series of talks, that we will talk with different people, spiritual, and have different methods of talking with people, helping people, enlightening people.
Yes.
So let's talk about how did you come with that idea to have this
Well,
talks?
first of all, the talks is after many years of Essence of Life, which is an organization, a spiritual organization here in Israel, which really teaches about the fact that in order to reach world peace, we each need to reach our own individual peace. It's something I've started many years ago. We have a visitor center and this radio station, like I said, in Tel Aviv. And up until now, it's been all in Hebrew. I started a new program, which is the program we're talking about now, because up until now, I really, although it's my radio station, I wasn't really involved with the day-to-day. I did come from time to time to get interviewed on different subjects, everything spiritual. But many different aspects of spirituality. It can be business and spirituality, it can be family, it can be sports, it can be many different subjects. And recently I decided that I want to come out with my own series, which I'm doing first of all in Hebrew. And I thought it's time to go out to the world and start the series in English. So yes, we will be talking to different spiritual leaders, spiritual teachers, healers, channelers, light workers here in Israel and from around the world.
Wow. So first off, for all the English speakers, we thank you that we can have also some of this knowledge and some of these teachings.
Yes.
But let's start. When did you think about opening an organization that you called Essence of Life? When did this start, this journey from probably the thought to the establishing the organization?
It actually started in 1997. I remember it very clearly because it was a path that I started with a coach, a business vision coach, because at that time my father was very ill. My father died in 1999, and he was very ill, and I was really looking for where my future lies. At the time, I was heading the Ted Arison Family Foundation, which started in Miami, Florida. I moved the foundation to Israel, and so that's what I was doing. My main business was in philanthropy, but I also had a franchise of Movenpick, and I had restaurants and road stops around Israel. And I was looking into the future. What is my mission? What is my vision? What am I doing here on planet Earth? And I started this process, like I said, in 1997. And it was very interesting because at the time I was very shy. I was very introverted. And I kept coming to the same conclusion that my role in this world was to bring peace. And I thought to myself at the time, that's ridiculous. I'm going to bring peace. Who am I? I'm not a prime minister. I'm not a president. Who am I to bring peace to the world? But it was a process of 2 years. And within that process, I always came to the same conclusion, that my role in this world was to bring peace. And then it dawned on me. It was like an aha moment, like when the light bulb turns on, that in order to reach world peace, each one needs to reach their own individual peace, their inner peace, and their peace within their surroundings. And that was like an aha moment. It sounds trivial today because everybody talks about inner peace, and a lot of people do that kind of spiritual work and process. But at the time, no one talked like that. At the time, it sounded ridiculous to people.
So that's interesting. How was it received in the early 2000s when spiritual and those movements are not very common?
No, I basically started by myself. Coming out, I understood that I wanted to start an organization within the family foundation. And I started this organization called Essence of Life, with the role of raising consciousness. That was my first goal, was to plant seeds of awareness and to raise the collective consciousness. And, I was laughed at the time when I started the organization. I was totally laughed at. People thought, it's an euphoric idea. They thought it was ridiculous. They thought I was crazy. But I had a deep, deep belief and a knowing that that was my mission in life. And so I just started. And from there it grew and turned into a big organization in Israel with teaching children in schools and people coming to the visitor center and the radio station, which many people listen to.
Can you identify the tipping point? When was like you felt when people do not understand? Maybe you said laughing, and tipping point. Wow, all of us are spiritual in one way or another. Now I'm interested. Now I want to hear the radio. Now I want to come to the visitor center. What was the tipping point?
It's interesting because it was a very long process. It was a long process, and it was a process of. I find in everything that I do, not only with Essence of Life, but in business and everything that I've done in my life, I first make the changes within myself. In other words, I let go of belief systems and what I've been taught and how things should be, and feelings and thought processes. Just letting go of those layers and bringing in more and more light and more awareness. Raise consciousness, first of all, within myself. So I found that as I became more precise and more connected with myself, so was the organization, and so was the people who received the organization. I have to say it was a long process. It was 20 years of not being understood, of some followers, the circles growing slowly, but I believed that it was the right way, and so more and more people came on board. More and more people started understanding. And I can say the huge tipping point, I think, is since, which is the biggest tipping point for everybody, I think, is after 2012, where the consciousness opened up, which we all knew. People who deal with spirituality knew that in the end of 2012, life as we know it was going to change. And it's been changing rapidly ever since. And now I think we're, part of a huge movement, both in Israel and in the world.
The story that you said that you learned on yourself reminds me about Gandhi, that somebody came to him, a parent came with his child and says, my child is very sick. Somebody told me to give him this kind of bread and he will heal. What do you think? So he says, he's looking at it and says, come another month to me. But the mother says, but he's very sick. So yeah, come in 1 month. Comes in 1 month. She comes in 1 month, and she says, what's the answer? He says, yes, give him the bread. She says, why did I wait for a whole month for it? He said, first I had to test it on myself, and then I can tell you if it's so. Yeah. I think like people need to go with some kind of progress or some kind of a journey with themselves to find that spirituality is not people that are flying up in the air. Spirituality is something very basic. And
to me, spirituality is very much on the ground. I think, there's very different types of spirituality, and we're all part of the whole, and different people have different aspects. But I always believed that it was the connecting of the spiritual with the material, that's the place of spirituality. It's to bring it here. We are human beings. We are living on planet Earth, and if we want to make a difference, we need to bring it down here, down to the ground.
So maybe you can give us a few, let's say 1 or 2 of the values of Essence of Life. What are we talking about when we're talking about the organization?
Well, it has 22 values, which is really the backbone of everything that we do. So, when we have on the radio, the different speakers, they all know that this is the backbone. These are the values we want to talk about, and they're in our website, and it's written. But basically, the main value is what I said, that in order to reach world peace, one needs to reach his own individual peace and with his surroundings. Another value is that we're all one. Another value is that we all have our own uniqueness. That we're, we're like the nature, that we have different seasons, that we are constantly teaching and learning at the same time, that everything is present in the same time, past, present, and future. It's really all one. So there's many different values. It's amazing because I received those values in a channel. And it's amazing to me that after all of these years, they're still very precise, very inspiring, and it's like endless learning. It's like you look at a value and, even though I, introspected on that value 20 years ago, if I look at it today, it'll be on another level. It'll be deeper. It'll be wider. It'll be more understood. So it's constantly evolving.
Yeah, some people say I'm impatient, and I think that's right. So I'm just thinking, if somebody could get these values 20 years ago, how would the world look like today? Like if people already study these values or take upon themselves these values and could.
Well, first of all, people did get these values 20 years ago.
Got it, but embrace them and not, like you said, not understanding them 20 years ago.
The first people, I believe that, there's a reason for everything, and and everyone has their purpose and their role in life. And the people who did go with me, 20 years back, or more than 20 years back, and started. It's almost like you're carving into a rock, and the first people carved, and then eventually the pathway is right in front of you, and more and more people can come. So it was our role to carve that path, and then other people can easily walk down that road.
Do you think you had a breaking point in the 20 years? Like saying,
I had many breaking points. I had many breaking points. It was difficult back then. Today, there's a lot of inspiration. I know the world looks crazy, but just as it looks harsh, it also, if you look in the other direction, there's a lot of light. There's a much higher consciousness. There's a lot of people doing spiritual work. There's a lot of people who get it. There's a lot of people working to make our planet and humanity better. There's a lot of good people out there. So, there were breaking points where you think, oh my God, this is hard and I'm tired. But when it's a higher purpose, nothing stops you.
So you think the higher purpose is the motivation, that each time you had a breaking point or a thought, maybe I shouldn't do this. So you think the belief of you, of the journey, of the values, of the vision, that's what motivated you. That's what held you from not breaking.
Definitely, my faith in my purpose, my faith in God. You can call God, universe, my inner self, my higher self. It's really semantics. It doesn't matter. Each one can connect to who or what they believe in, which is one of the things about Essence of Life, is that we believe that, this is my belief, and this is what I shared with the people who came along with me. And now those, like I said, those circles have grown and grown, and the belief is that there's a place for everyone. Every person, every religion, every path, every spiritual path, because, I might connect to a certain spiritual path and someone else totally doesn't connect. Some people, it's important for them to get it intellectually or psychologically, and other people need to feel it or experience it. Some people will be on a spiritual path through yoga or qigong. Other people will be through learning about quantum physics in the university. And somebody else will be in meditation and channeling and doing light work. It's all good. Each one needs to reach his own self, understand his own self, learn about his own self, reach his own inner peace in the way that's good for them.
So from that way, if we go forward, so what we understand that the essence of life doesn't have a method. That we can say do 1, 2, 3, and you're, or do it this way or that way. So
No.
so maybe a little about this, because I think this is one of the first organizations that I know that are not telling you to do 1, 2, 3 or get to enlightenment with, if you do 1, 2, 3, you are enlightenment, you are enlightened. So maybe a little about this, that this is like we're giving a room for everybody.
Yes, I think, our method is that we don't have a method. Our method is that we say that anything goes. But we introduce or raise questions or show people the path to themselves. So in other words, if someone asks a question, we will say, all the answers are within you. If you're looking for guidance, if you're looking for a certain method or a certain teacher or a certain way, ask to be shown. Ask your inner self, your higher self. Ask God, and it will be shown to you. And use your intuition and find what's right for you. And if you go on a certain path and it's great and you're learning and you're expanding and you're growing, and then all of a sudden it's just not right for you anymore, move on. It's like they say, when you're ready, the teacher will come. I found that in my spiritual path, when I was ready, the teacher came, and I went through many different methods and many different teachers and many different paths, many books that I read. Each one gave me something. I learned from each person, from each path, from each method. And some people, they'll be on one method and they'll stick to that method, and that's what's good for them, and that's what's right for them, and that's okay too.
So I understand from you that your method is like a collective method, that you took ideas and meetings from
Yes.
different people and different aspects, and just built your own path.
For me, yes. For my individuality, yes. I have like a little bit of everything. It's almost like when you bake a cake and you need, the flour and the sugar and the vanilla, and then you mix all the ingredients and you come out with a cake. Not that I cook or bake, but yes, I took, I think, a little bit of everything, and that's and I'm constantly taking more and more from, I every day I learn something new from within myself, from the channels that I receive, from people that I go and listen to, from lectures, from books, from, it could even be a line in a movie. It doesn't matter. I'm very open and aware to learn constantly. But what we do here is we offer the different platforms. So if people, hear this method or that method or this person or that person, and they connect to it, then they can say, oh, that's interesting to me. I want to learn more about myself through that certain method. So I think it's like a menu we have here at Essence of Life, a very large menu of spiritual paths that each one can choose the way that's right for them.
Maybe a little personal, feel free not to answer.
Okay.
How does your spiritual life look? Because I see you come to work, I see you go back from work. We meet sometimes in meetings, in social meetings, but how does your spiritual, because I just came back from an ashram in India, so I know how there it looks.
Okay.
Every day at 5, they have a spiritual ceremony, then they have question and answer with the guru. In the morning, they have prayer. At 11, they have yoga. So I know how it looks. How does your spiritual?
Well, I think my spiritual day or road is less systematic. I do meditate every morning, but even my meditation varies. I would say in the last years I'm more into mindfulness, which is a method that anybody can look into. You can just Google it. But mindfulness is a method of meditation that has been researched very, very much, and it works. But I did different meditations. I tried them all, or almost all of them. So I dabbled in this kind of meditation and that kind of meditation. I do think it's important to meditate. I not only meditate every morning, but I meditate when I feel stressed. If I'm in a meeting, and like you said, you see me in meetings, if I'm in a meeting and it's a difficult meeting and I feel that I've been thrown off my center, feelings start coming up, emotion, I will ask people to, give me a few minutes after the meeting, close my door, and I'll meditate and I'll center myself again. I do a lot of work with my body and my emotions. I listen to my body. I think our bodies talk to us. If you have a pain in your body, it's trying to tell you something. Emotions that come up, I work with them. I look at them. I don't, brush them under the rug. I deal with it. I look at it face to face and see where it's coming from and why. So I understand that everything is mirroring to me, that if somebody, hits my buttons or, triggers something within me, it's not their fault. It's something almost the opposite. I'll say thank you within myself and then look at it and see what it's trying to tell me, what's trying to be released, and which gives me more room for more light.
You need to be brave to look at yourself all the time. Not always the answers probably are you're happy from the answers that you're seeing.
No, sometimes they're very difficult, but I think it's the only way to grow. I think the only way to grow is to really dive into it. But again, that's who I am. That is my way. Not everybody's built for that, and not everybody wants that. And that's also very important to understand, that each one has, I always say each one has their own fingerprint. So if you have individual fingerprints, we might look the same, but we're not. So each one has to find the way that's, perfect for them, that's right for them, that feels good to them. So
I think this is a good connection for the series that you're going to start here.
Yes.
That you're going to meet different spiritual leaders, teachers.
Right.
What is the goal of this series of talks that you're going to have?
Well, first of all, Essence of Life, like I said, has been in Israel and it's been in Hebrew, and that, I'm American. I was born in New York and raised in Miami. Moved to Israel after the Gulf War. I was here for short periods of time as a child, but I felt that my soul was connected to Israel and I wanted to be here. And I felt that, and I still feel that I want to make a difference here, to bring peace, to bring a collective consciousness that we're all one, that there's a place for everybody, and that we could all live in peace and harmony. But I think it's time to go out to the world. I listen to podcasts from around the world, and I listen to spiritual teachers from around the world recently. I really never did that before. For a long time, like I said, I felt very much alone with my spiritual feelings, my sensitivity. But now I've been looking out to the world, and I would like to connect to the different teachers from around the world, healers from around the world, channelers from around the world. And basically, I would like to give them a stage for those who don't have a really big stage. Because, you have the very popular spiritual leaders, the big names, and they're big and everybody knows them. But there's many, many, many others that nobody knows, and that, I connect to because I feel like they're on the same level of consciousness that I'm on, and I would love to give them the opportunity to reach people, because we all live in this world together. We have a collective future. Whatever's going to happen to humanity and the planet is going to happen to all of us. We're all connected. So let's bring the positive change and the solutions and the from those leaders who are in the forefront, and there's many of them around the world.
First, I think it's a beautiful idea to take not the popular ones that everybody can hear them, and they have probably millions of followers to take.
Right.
Those that did affect you. I understand each one that you're going to talk with is somebody that you know on some kind of, or you heard.
Yes or no. We're starting. This is a new endeavor, and because it's in English, not everybody here in Israel has the kind of English for a radio or for Facebook TV. So I will definitely be choosing some in Israel, some that I know and some that I don't know, just because of the language and because they do have a message to bring. And then, yes, I'm going to be searching people around the world who also have a message to bring. And so
I think
we're starting.
First, you started a long time ago, so I think
Yeah,
this
but
is
I mean, we're
part
starting
of
with this.
this. This is part of the journey now. I think
Yes.
going to English again,
Yes.
they're a great audience talking English in the world, and today it's very easy with technology. Everybody can hear,
Right,
even if you
right.
are far away in Australia, you still can hear the podcast. And I think this is a great opportunity for people to hear more ways to get to spiritual life or enlightenment and
Yes.
essence of life, like the name of the series, to maybe do a change in themselves. Because, like you said, if everybody will do a change in themselves, we will get to world
Yes.
peace. And it seems like in these times of days, we really need world peace.
We definitely need world peace, and we need to understand that we're all connected, and we need to understand that there's a role for everyone, even those that we don't particularly like. Everyone has a role. We're all part of the whole. When I say it's new, it's basically because this endeavor of Essence of Life, this radio, TV series, is new because it's new in English. Even when I was talking about the values, the 22 values, and I said, we have it on our internet site, right away afterwards I said, oh my God, we need to translate it because it's in Hebrew. We have a lot of endeavors in English. We have a social network called GoodNet, where we connect good from all over the world, and it's in English. We have Good Deeds Day, which I started almost 14 years ago, which is spread to 108 countries, and we have Good Deeds Day, the Facebook page, and people doing a good deed from all around the world on Good Deeds Day, and a lot of those people continue every day. So we do have things that we are doing in English, but Essence of Life, this series, it's new because it's in English. We've been doing it in Hebrew, and now it's time to go out in the world.
What I like about the Essence of Life, and especially in this series, because it's in English, that we here in the Ted Arison Family Foundation with your leadership, is we're like doing things like Good Deeds Day, like GoodNet, Go Read, and do spiritual things. So we're doing both of the things, also the acting that is
Right.
from you outside, and also the inner work that each person should do with themselves. And then I think we'll get more people that are like not only on spiritual, but also in doing, or not only in doing.
Spiritual and practical.
And practical. So we're
Right.
getting a more whole person
Right.
that he will be our neighbor, our
Right.
coworker, our boss, boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, children, that we really can see the change in the world because we're like doing all of the aspects of a person. So that's what I like about Essence of Life, and I'm happy that we're doing it also in English, that we can spread the word
Right.
of what we're doing.
I just want to say on the Ted Arison Family Foundation that it's a private family foundation that gives mainly in Israel. It's important to say. And I don't lead it anymore. My son does. I did for many, many years, but my son has been leading it for 10 years now. So, but that's a whole nother story.
So we're getting to the end of our show today. So we are talking about the series that series that will come that will start now. That we will meet different spiritual people from different aspects. Maybe we can get a few people, not their names, but what kind of methods?
Really, we're looking at all methods. It can be methods that are more intellectual. It could be methods that are more experience, something that people experience, or something through feelings, through body. It could be really anything from channeling, healing, energy workers, methods that are known around the world. We're open really to anything and anyone who can help people, inspire people to go to start their path, to reach their own inner peace, or continue their path. I mean, it could be on all levels. It's not just for beginners. It's for anybody at any time of their life, in any part of their journey, can come on board and give a talk, listen to the talk, and continue their spiritual path.
Well, it sounds very exciting, and I can't wait to start hearing the people and you talking with them. So thank you very much for being here, and thank you very much for starting this.
Thank you.
And let's hope we hear soon the series to start.
And also, I just want to say that it's amazing to me because, I'm here in Israel, and there's a lot of spiritual work, a lot of spiritual teachers, a lot of spiritual healers, a lot of spiritual methods. It's amazing to me how much there is here. So that's a very big positive. And I'm hoping to discover spirituality from around the world, from all around the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shari
Thank you.
Arison.
Thank you.